Thank you so much. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, the honor is mine to introduce to you at this time our commencement address speaker for today. He's a man who measures up to a large extent with the definition given by John McLaurin in the PEI magazine of May 1900. McLaurin posits that a gentleman is, among other things, and you would like this, a human being combining a woman's tenderness with a man's courage. That's a gentleman. He's possessed of inflexible integrity. He neither panders to prejudice nor courts popularity. Additionally, that was a gentleman. Additionally, a gentleman who is a leader possesses many parts that work together to make him into a composite whole. And our speaker today is one such man. He's a gentleman and he's a leader. He's a politician, educator, sportsman, family man, and an ethical, social, and religious man. The Honorable Mr. Orville Delano London holds the positions of Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, as well as Secretary of Public Administration, Information, State Lands, and Planning. Born in Tobago, Mr. London has had his early education at the Wim Anglican Primary School, after which he attended Bishop's High School at Montgomery, Scarborough. He then went on to earn his undergraduate degree at the University of the West Indies, UWI, from which he graduated with honors in history and sociology. Later, he completed postgraduate studies at his alma mater, UWI, obtaining diplomas in education and international relations. Earlier we said this leader is a man who is possessed of many parts. His many parts include the following. As an educator, after graduating from UWI in 1976, Mr. London started a teaching career which spanned 23 years and climaxed with a 6-year stint as principal of the Signal Hill Senior Comprehensive School. He also taught international relations at various secondary schools throughout Tobago, lectured at the UWI School of Continuing Studies, Tobago campus, and was at one time sports editor of the Tobago News. As a political figure, Mr. London began his political career in 1995 as a senator in the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Subsequently, he served as a councillor in the Tobago House of Assembly from 1996 until 2001. After contesting and winning the Tobago House of Assembly elections in February 2001, he was elected Chief Secretary. He is currently serving a second term of office as Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. As a sportsman, prior to his involvement in politics, Mr. London served on the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board of Control. In addition, he held several positions in various sporting associations as president of the Tobago Cricket Association, secretary of the Tobago Football Association, and secretary of the Tobago Secondary Schools Athletic Committee. He is also the co-founder of the Tobago Lawn Tennis Association. He also enjoys walking. As a family man, Honorable Orville London has close family ties and is the father of 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. He is married to the charming Mrs. Bridget London, an elementary school teacher in Tobago. As an ethical, social, and religious man, the Chief Secretary is perceived by many as a man of integrity and believes in not being found, according to the author I quote earlier, John McLaren, on the verge of truth or walking roundabout. He's also perceived as a man of the people and is not afraid to mix and to mingle. I am told that it is not unusual to see him on weekends in the marketplace with basket in hand, talking to vendors of the land. Moreover, he is a religious man. He loves the Lord and he knows his God. We are honored today to have both a gentleman and a leader, a man of many parts, speak to us on this significant occasion, our 75th Commencement Exercise 2008. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our illustrious speaker for this special occasion, the Honorable Mr. Orville Delano London.
Thank you very much, Dr. Magera. I have been introduced on hundreds of occasions, but I've never been introduced quite like that. Thank you very much. Let me take the opportunity to recognize the Honorable Mr. Sanford Calder, Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister. I think I see His Excellency, Mr. Roy Austin, the Ambassador to the United States. Of course, my good friend, the Honorable Anthony Roberts, Member of Parliament for St. Anne's East, Dr. Eugene Daniel, the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Trevor Gardner, the President of the University, the other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Justice Ralston Nelson, Judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice. I think I see the Chief Education Officer, Mr. Peter O'Neill, Senator Diosaran, other members of the diplomatic corps, representatives from the clergy, representatives from the judiciary, representatives from the University Board of Directors, representatives from other tertiary institutions, university vice presidents and directors, faculty, staff, and alumni, members of the media, other distinguished guests, and of course, the most important people in this room at this point in time, the graduates. Let me first take the opportunity to offer congratulations to the University of the Southern Caribbean. And I want to congratulate them for being true partners in development. Over the last 81 years, this institution cannot be judged by what has happened within the walls of this campus, but really on the kind of impact that the graduates or the graduates of this institution would have had on the development of Tobago, of Trinidad and Tobago, the region and the world. And I think all of you should be proud to be associated with this institution. And I want to specially commend the institution for what is being done in Tobago. And they have really transformed the tertiary level landscape in Tobago. And I want to give the president the assurance that we cannot match the generosity of the central government. So you will not get $98.7 million, but you will, of course, receive some assistance from the Tobago House of Assembly in your worthy endeavors in Tobago. I'd like to also congratulate the members of staff. I heard a plea being made for your remuneration packages. And I'm aware, and in all seriousness, I'm aware that members of staff at this institution really function with remuneration packages that are significantly less than similar tertiary level education institutions throughout the region. And I think they must be complimented for this level of sacrifice. And of course, to you, the graduates, for finally getting to this point after those arduous, seemingly never-ending minutes and hours and days and months and years. It has happened. It is finished. Congratulations. When I was asked to deliver this address, I asked myself why. Why should I come here? Why should I, a product of the past, treat with you who embody the present about a future that none of us knows anything about? And one of the things I recognize is that the only thing that we know about this future is that it is uncertain, it's unpredictable, it's dynamic. And we really are into a period where, as one speaker said, the earth, the world is changing so fast that you almost feel the ground moving under your feet. That is the kind of world that we trusting you in. A world where we have new challenges. We have the challenges of global warming, of what I call institutionalized terror, of a global food crisis, burgeoning technological revolution, and all those issues that really people in our time could never have dreamt about. But I'm asked to speak to you. And I'm saying that the reason why I am relevant and what I'm going to be saying is relevant, because regardless of the uncertainties of this future, regardless of the difference between your future and the futures of people past, there are certain irrefutable factors that will always be relevant. They were relevant in my time. They'll be relevant. They will be relevant in your time. They are relevant in the times 2,000 years ago, and they are going to be relevant in your children and grandchildren's time. And therefore, I just want to engage you this morning in a conversation about life after graduation. And I want to also commend the theme, initiated with a thought, continued with a purpose. Because that is what it is all about. Life with a purpose after graduation. And you got to ask yourself, is it desirable to have a purpose? Is it achievable? I am saying that your goal is not just to ask yourself if it is desirable or achievable. Your goal is to make it inevitable. Otherwise, these moments or those moments that you'll have spent over the past 3 or 4 years are wasted moments. And all that money that the parents would have spent will be wasted money. And therefore, you first got to ask yourself, what is the attitude that you're going to be leaving here with at the end of this exercise? Is it going to be, thank God I'm done with that, time to enjoy life? Is that going to be the attitude? I'm saying that if that is your attitude, you will not grow. And as up to date as you are today, you'll become obsolete and eventually overwhelmed in this dynamic but opportunity-filled and challenging world in which we are thrusting you in today. And I'm therefore saying that all of you must not only leave here with a general purpose, but you must leave here with specific purposes and specific objectives. And I just want to maybe give you a couple of guidelines. You might consider me presumptuous, but I'm old enough that I don't care. And therefore, I am going to tell you about them anyway. In the first place, commit yourselves to long-term achievements. Because most victories in life are achieved through small incremental wins sustained over time. Too many of us want instant gratification. That's the kind of world we live in. It's a world of song bites. It's a world of getting things done today, getting your satisfaction today. Success is not going to be achieved. Your purpose is not going to be fulfilled except you commit yourselves to long-term achievements and recognize that long-term achievements by definition will take a long time, and therefore it is the incremental victories that are important. Adopt a positive problem-solving approach to life. Take responsibility for your quality of life. You know, I want to just quote General Electric's Willis R. Whitney, and he said, some men have thousands of reasons why they cannot do what they want to do. All they need is one reason why they can. And you have got to check yourselves. What kind of person am I? Am I the drop the shoulder kind of person, looking for an excuse for failure or mediocrity? Or am I the kind of person who, when faced by any kind of challenge, it brings out that spirit in me, brings out that determination? Because it's easy, very relaxing to find reasons why things cannot be done. There are reasons why this graduation didn't have to come off. I'm certain the organizer will tell you there will have been dozens of challenges and irritations and frustrations that they had to surmount. And therefore, you've got to check yourself. And then I want you to remember Deuteronomy 51:7. Be strong and of good courage. There will be challenges and frustrations and crises, but be comforted by the words of Martin Luther King, who said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. That is the test. All of you. Everybody could be nice when things nice. Everybody. Everybody could do well when things going well. It's when the pressure is on that you determine man from boy and woman from girl. And therefore, you have to decide whether you leave, when you leave here, you're turning man or you're still boy. Whether you leave here when you're turning woman or you're still girl. It's the choice is yours. I can't tell you, but the choice is yours. And it is in the times of crisis that it will be decided. And I'm saying to you that when you do this, it will also inspire others. Because courage, like cowardice, is contagious. And Billy Graham said, your courage could inspire others. When a brave man or woman takes a stand, the spines of others are stiffened. And I'm saying that you have a responsibility to do that. And I want to tell you something. Regardless of what you do, you will make mistakes. But I'm saying to you, every mistake is a lesson. That's how you must see the mistake, as a lesson. But if you don't learn the easy mistakes, they get harder. That's a reality. So do not go about with the feeling that you're not going to do wrong. Don't beat up on yourself. Stand back, reflect. Where did I go wrong? And how could I go less wrong the next time around? That is what you've got to be doing. And I want to tell you all, you will fail. This is not your exam. In life, there are times when you will fail, and sometimes you will fail spectacularly. And sometimes that failure will be humiliating. You know, sometimes when they select guest speakers, they select guest speakers because of the perceived successes. And guest speakers come and talk about the perceived successes. And sometimes they instill a certain degree of self-consciousness and maybe even, subjugation. But we are here because we failed and recovered from failure. Let me tell you something. When I was going to secondary school, I remember one of the floggings I got from my father. And I got a flogging in retrospect. Let me explain. I didn't like Latin. So this term, I got 38 marks in Latin. But instead of the teacher saying fair, he said, has improved vastly this term. So the old man looked back at the term before and realized, okay, look up for that. Now the point about it is that he now told me, I checking you for two things. How you do generally in tests and how you do in Latin. So if you want to save yourself more of this, make sure you do good generally and good in Latin. The point about it is that I had to recover from that failure and make sure that I did what is necessary to succeed. And I'll tell you a final other story. You hear them talk about me being chief secretary. At 50 years old, I left my job and went into politics. Family to mine, etc. You know, politics is a funny thing, eh? Went in the Senate as have a comfortable job. Left the Senate to come and say a fighting election in Tobago. Lost. I have no job. Big man with wife and children, no job. And I have to recover from that. And I remember something that comforted me in those times. And I want to share it with you. It comes from a little red book in the Bible called Ecclesiasticus. And it says, my son, if you aspire to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for an ordeal. Be sincere of heart, be steadfast, and do not be alarmed when disaster comes. Whatever happens to you, accept it. And in the uncertainties of your humble heart, be patient, since gold is tested in the fire and chosen men in the furnace of humiliation. And that is what kept me in those days. And there are times in your life when those words are supposed to help you get over spectacular and humiliating failure. Because if you don't want to remember that, remember Austin O'Malley, who said, the fact that you have been knocked down is interesting, but the length of the time you remain down is what is important. And I'm saying to you that all of you must leave here with that realization that you're going to fail. But it is not the failure that is important, it's how you respond to the failure. And maybe I just want to, as I complete that one, talk about Henry Ford. Failure is the opportunity to begin again, more intelligently. So just as how you learn from your mistakes, at another level, you learn from your failures. So do not expect failure, don't work for it. But when it comes, learn from it. I'm also asking you, in taking responsibility for your life, all of you are Christians. I'm saying, involve yourself in what I call action-oriented Christianity. Get down on your knees and pray. But when you're finished, get up and walk the prayer. That's important. You see, there are too many people who feel all they got to do is to leave it in the hands of the Lord. All right. But you have hands too and feet. And therefore the Lord expects you to help him, to help you. And I do not want you to be these kinds of Christians who really relate Christianity to what I call spiritual laziness. Because they believe that once you pray hard enough and long enough and loud enough, you don't have to do anything else. It is not like that. I am saying to you, therefore, that you have got to walk the prayer. And the next point I want to leave with you is to learn to say no and act no. There's a difference. it is very, no, let me put it different. It is challenging to say no in some cases, but it is even more challenging to act no. And I want to tell you, young people here, that maybe you are better prepared to say no and act no than many other persons graduating at this point in time. Because you see, you have been through an institution which, because of the offerings, would have instilled in you what I call a bedrock of beliefs. It's there, it's a bedrock. And one of the things this institution teaches you, and you heard them say, we will not compromise. This institution teaches you that there are some things to which you say no. Not that I'm not sure, maybe, okay, it says no. And therefore, I want you to leave here with your bedrock of beliefs. Because out there, you're going to be bombarded by myriad choices. You're going to be bombarded by numerous influences. You're going to be bombarded by individuals with different agendas. And you have got to be in a position to say no. Because I'm saying that never before in the history of mankind has the price for not saying no been as great as it is today. And each of you have got to understand that. We don't have to go into details, but you have got to recognize that there are serious price to pay for those who are not prepared to say no. And the problem that you have is that some of these choices are seemingly so attractive. And some of these choices you're forced to make those choices in circumstances that are sometimes very challenging. And that is why I want to link that with self-confidence. You have got to recognize that you are a priceless person. And therefore, the first person who has to consider himself priceless is you. And I am saying, therefore, that you must have the confidence or the self-confidence to recognize that I know what is best for me and I have a responsibility to do or see what is best for me. Too many times you allow people to make important decisions about the most important person to you, who is you. I therefore say decisions about you must be made by you and you alone. Pray to your God. Talk to your mother and father. But when you finish, make your own decision. Because in the final analysis, it is about you. Strive for growth and change. And recognize that you have to change. If you want to grow, you have to change. You've got to be prepared to change. You've got to have a mindset for change. Because Leo Tolstoy said, everyone thinks of changing the world. No one thinks of changing themselves. And that requires a certain degree of introspection. And I think introspection maybe is one of the most difficult habits for us to really engender in ourselves. And you know, sometimes you got to ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why is this happening to me? Am I doing things in the right way? Rather than looking outside of yourselves for the answers, looking outside of yourselves for the opportunities, you have got to really do some serious introspection. And it is in that context that I want to just say, from an academic perspective, that you make the change from an occasional learner to someone dedicated to personal growth. In other words, it doesn't really matter, as far as I'm concerned, what kind of degree you leave here with. Your success is going to depend on whether you leave here as an occasional learner or someone dedicated to personal growth. You see it all the time. Ask the members of staff, they will tell you, this person left here with an honors degree and they're in the same position 20 years after. Somebody barely got a pass and they have moved up. Why? It's attitude. The fact that they left here with an attitude that this is just a platform to greater things. And I'm saying, therefore, the only wrong thing you can do is to rest on your laurels and tell yourselves that I achieve, I get a degree, I could show off on my friend who ain't get none, and so on. When in fact, you have to tell yourselves this is the, and it's not just about academic. It's about growing as a human being, growing as an individual, getting bigger, bigger in the sense of your quality, the quality of your personality, and by extension, the quality of your life. Because remember, Proverbs 13 says, take firm hold of instruction. Do not let go. Keep her, for she is your life. Remember that. There's always something in the Bible to assist you in these things. And I also urge you to cultivate relationships and operate in an environment in which you can grow. Do you know if you take a shark and put it in a pond, in a fish bowl, it will remain that size for the rest of its life? And the bigger the bowl, the bigger the shark will grow. Do you know that? So anytime you feel yourselves and you feel tempted to be constrained by the people around you, remember the shark. If you are in an environment where you don't have the opportunity to grow, if you are in an environment where people do not have ambition, if you are in an environment where people only see today, you will remain like the shark in the fishbowl. I'm saying expand your environment, and you will, of course, expand yourself. And the last 2 points I want to make is a term that I call constructive discontent. A lot of people feel that good Christians mustn't make noise. Good Christians must not be upset with the status quo. There is constructive discontent. In fact, most of the advances in the world came about, it started with discontent, and then, of course, the discontent led to something constructive. It is not being discontented which is critical, or which is negative. It is what you do with the discontent. So there is discontent that is not constructive and therefore leads to discord and breakup and so on. But there is also constructive discontent. I'm therefore saying that you've got to be very discerning. You've got to question things. You've got to recognize that you have a responsibility to yourself and you have a responsibility to your society to make sure that you make a difference. And the only way that you can make a difference is to understand the implications of constructive discontent. And the final point I want to make to you is that you must be what I call servant leaders. Sounds like a contradiction, but it's a fact. You see, you have been blessed with an education. You have been blessed with exposure to an institution which will have instilled in you certain values, which will have provided you with certain expertise and certain information and so on. What you're going to do? Keep it bottled up inside you. You have a responsibility to share that. But you also have a responsibility not to go out there with a level of arrogance, to tell yourself that I am above the crowd. And that is why the term was coined servant leader. An individual who can lead, but is also a servant of the people, a servant of the society. That is the charge that I leave with you. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you out there also have a responsibility to support these young people. They look big and mature and so on, and they might be a little bit biggish and managed when they leave. But they're nervous. And I'm therefore appealing to the parents and the guardians and the aunts and the uncles and so on to guide them, but guide them in a mature and sensitive way, recognizing that they are at a very important phase in their life. And in many cases, they are on the verge of adulthood, that they're going to understand that after leaving the cloistered walls of this institution, Many of the things that they took for granted and maybe they resented, many of those things they're going to wish they had. Somebody to tell them what to do, somebody to guide them, somebody to admonish them. And therefore, you, the parents, have got to play a very serious role in that transition period. I am one person, I have a very great deal of confidence in young people. And when one looks at the arithmetic of deviant behavior in Trinidad and Tobago, one would understand that the good young people are being given a poor kind of image. There are many, 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 many more good young people with promise, young people with potential, than they are not so good young. It is just that the not so good one grab the headlines. And I'm saying, however, while they grabbing the headlines, you take control of your environment. It's going to take a long time, but if each of us could take a little piece of this environment and control that environment, I think we have a good chance. Because one of the things we must understand, regardless of what you say, and I'm not being political here, no government can change the mores of a society. No. The mores of a society have to be influenced by the people. And it's institutions like this, instilling those virtues and values in people like you, that can, in effect, trigger that process and embellish that process. I am saying, therefore, that you have got to see yourselves as tools of the change, for the change in the society. And it is in that context, and with the recognition that there may be no other group of people better prepared than this diamond graduating class, that I say to you, for your own sake and the sake of the people of Trinidad and Tobago and the region, because I understand your wings have extended to the region and the world, I am saying to you, you have been well prepared. You have been exposed to a fantastic organization. You have a responsibility to go out there and make the difference. And I therefore say to you, go with pride, go with confidence, go with the recognition that you are products of a great institution. Go with God and have a good life.